Welcome to the Happy Mindset. Today's episode is episode number 75, and today's episode title is called Creative Writing. So today I'm going to talk about creative writing. I'm going to give you some insights into what this has been all about for me, and just some distinctions between technical writing and creative writing to help you get a feel for what this is about. So first of all, with technical writing, when I was a translator, I had gained quite a bit of experience with technical writing. Technical writing, for me, was more about getting your words right, getting the structure right, getting the message exactly right. It was all about the technicalities of things. So I studied translation. I did a translation master's for a year where I was translating from English to French and English to Spanish. And a lot of that was understanding the nuance, the text, understanding the register, making sure that you're getting across the message, you're conveying the message. And that's actually a lot harder than what you think. Like, I had this kind of notion that like languages map to each other quite easily, but you start to find out that like certain languages will have a certain way of saying things, and sometimes an expression won't exist in another language, and you start delving into the fact that, okay, this is probably influencing how people in that country are thinking, it shapes the culture in some way. So when you start looking at the technicalities of it, it starts getting very complex. But in essence, what you're trying to do as a person who's a technical writer is you're trying to get things accurately, precise. You're focusing on accuracy and precision and getting a message across as cleanly as you can. This is in contrast to creative writing. Creative writing has been something that I've developed over the years in my pastime. It became something initially that I started doing as a way of self-exploration. I was trying to make sense of my life and trying to make sense of the things that happened to me, and I was trying to just create a path forward for me somehow. So writing was the outlet that I drifted towards. That seemed to be something that came into my life a bit more. So with the creative writing, it's not so much about the precision and the accuracy and delivering a clean message initially to begin with. It's more about exploring your curiosity, exploring your biases, exploring how you see the world, your perception. You start delving into simple questions that you've taken for granted your whole life. So it can be quite confronting, creative writing, but it's also, the flip side of that is that it's very liberating at the same time. So with creative writing, the way I approached it, I guess, to give you an example of it, just an example of how you question assumptions. From my first book, Taking My Life Back, I looked at something that happened in my life that was to do with mental illness. And my initial perception of that when it happened to me was that this is something to be ashamed of. This is something that I can't break free of. This is something that's going to define who I am moving forward. Nobody can know about this because of the shame, the embarrassment. That was my perception of what happened to me. The difficult part then is navigating a new perception of that. It's like not denying that it is something that's traumatic and it's something that you have to deal with and it's something that has happened to you. It's not overlooking all that. And it's not going to like shifting your focus to going, this is a great thing, because it wasn't a great thing. I wouldn't have chosen this to happen in my life. It was something I had to adapt to. So creative writing was a great way for me to start navigating that experience and redefining what this experience meant to me. So it was redefining the meaning, but in a way that was rooted in my own personal truth and grounded in reality. That's the hard part. So creative writing helps you to explore that. So, in my experience, if you want to do something for the long term, then you have to make it fun for yourself. You have to make it engaging for yourself. And so, that's my intention today, is to share some insights around creative writing so that you see it as a lifestyle rather than something that you do to gain an audience or focus more on like being accepted, your work being accepted. Because there is no guarantee that your work will be accepted, but what does tend to happen is that if you are speaking your truth, if you're getting to the core of that, you will start resonating with certain people because there'll be something resonating there. You won't know exactly what, but the more you can get your own truth, the higher the chances are that you will hit something with other people that resonates. So with creative writing, what I have found has helped is that I approach it from a lifestyle point of view. So I use it to question what's actually going on in my life right now out of curiosity. So any situation where I feel a bit stuck in, my assumption is that it's the question and the story I have around that's the issue. It's not the actual situation itself. And if I don't look at the story or the question, then that situation will just happen again, just in a different form. So when you're not paying attention to that, the forms can look quite different, but you don't see the underlying story and question you're asking yourself. So creative writing is a great way to get to the question and the story and to reflect on it and to give yourself time and space to redefine what question you want to ask and redefine like what's actually going on for you there. A great way to get into this, if this is something completely new to you, is start with meditation. That's what I started with, like 10 minutes meditation each day a couple of years ago. And it helped me to get some space from the thoughts. So this is all dependent on your space from the thoughts in your head. Like, it's very hard to be a creative writer if you haven't got much distance between the thoughts in your head, because you can't see clearly. The more you can gain distance from the thoughts, the more that it becomes less identified to you, and the more space you have in your mind to actually explore, have fun, be creative. That's the nature of it. And so meditation was a great way for me to start doing that. It gave me some space between the thoughts. When you gain some space too, you've less resistance about putting thoughts onto a page that you have some sort of judgment around. So if you read my book, Taking My Life Back, there's a lot of stuff in there that can be quite dark at times. The language as well there, that's like, it was difficult for me to write it out, even just mentioning the word psychotic episode and antipsychotic drugs and all that. For a long time, those words represented a reality that I did not like, did not want for myself. I had a huge inner resistance towards those words. So it was initially hard for me to even come around to the idea of maybe putting those words into the book. But it was through meditation, through gaining some distance from my thoughts, that I eventually became okay with putting that in the book. And again, I know that will resonate with other people because I had such a strong inner resistance to it, because of the stories, because of the messages I've been sent by society of what happened to me was such a bad thing and a shameful thing, that if I didn't have that distance, it'd be very hard for me to put those into the book and be okay with it. So gaining the distance from it helps you to put your honest thoughts in there and realize that they're thoughts, they're ways of looking at things, they're your perception, it's not actually reality itself. So that's what you're trying to get to as a creative writer. So that's creative writing. I hope that I've shared some insights. I'll talk more about writing in general and just different things that have helped me to think outside the box and create stories as well. Creating stories that, like, a lot of the time, fact is actually stranger than fiction. It's just when you're looking at something, if you're looking at the world in a certain way every single day, you overlook the fact that the world is very big and very complex, and there's so much room for creativity, curiosity, imagination. It's just, as adults, the tendency is that as we grow up, we tend to believe that we're not imaginative, and we tend to believe that, like, the world is objective. There's only one way of looking at things, or very few ways of looking at things. But as you get more in touch with your creativity or curiosity, you start to realize is that it's your perception of life you're looking at rather than life itself. It's not the reality that's objectively the truth for everybody. And when you start doing that, it gives you a lot of freedom. But like I said, it can be very confronting too, because you have to face your own shit and realize, fuck, I've actually been the person limiting myself, or I'm being too stubborn, or I'm not willing to go to places that I'd rather keep in the shadows and not have to face and deal with. A lot of the time I've found when you do face the shadows in your life, they're never as scary as the actual stories you had around those shadows about what that meant for you as a person. And as well, when you start facing them too, you start to see how you are the same as a lot of other people. A lot of people are in the same boat, and it gives you that relatability, and it gives you that, like, just a weight off, that you realize that everybody has got certain problems. Sometimes because they're in the shadows for so long, we don't even know that they're there. So creative writing can help you to explore the shadow aspects of yourself. It can help you be more curious about your life. Like, when you can get up every day and realize that no 2 days have to be the same. It doesn't have to be same shit every day. That's just a saying that people start believing and internalizing. When you start realizing that, you realize that life is up for grabs. There's going to be strongly negative emotions to face, strongly positive emotions to face. But out of that, you can create something that has meaning and has something that leaves an impact. So that's what creative writing is all about. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hope you've taken away some thoughts for reflection and will take some action from this episode. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.